He's doing Will Chamberlain type stuff now.
Nikola Jokic isn't just leading the MVP race this season. He's completely taking over the league. His production looks unreal. Nearly 30 points per game, effortless rebounding, more than 11 assists a night like a true point guard, and an efficiency level that feels almost unfair. But the dominance only becomes more staggering when you dig into the numbers. Jokic is putting up a PER of 37.0, the highest single-season mark in NBA history. Higher than Giannis, Wilt, or even any of his own previous performances. This isn't just elite, it's a new standard for the entire league. Among players averaging 30 or more points, he ranks number 1 all-time in efficiency, ahead of Stephen Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Adrian Dantley, placing him in pure legendary territory that he makes look routine. He already sits top 3 all-time in triple-doubles, behind only Russell Westbrook and Oscar Robertson, and he keeps adding more almost weekly. Jokic also holds the number 1 spot in NBA history in win shares per 48 minutes, outpacing Michael Jordan, David Robinson, LeBron James, and Wilt Chamberlain, a metric that measures pure impact, where he stands alone. Check any leaderboard this season and his name is everywhere. Rebounds, assists, total rebounds, defensive boards, assist percentage, offensive rating, win shares.
Every 100 possessions that he's on the court, I want you to listen to what I'm about to say. I'm going to try to keep it under control. Every 100 possessions he's on the court, the Nuggets are scoring 151 points. Every 100 possessions he's on the court defensively, the Nuggets are giving up 104 points. That means every 100 possessions he's out there, the Nuggets are outscoring the opposition by 47 points. Okay?
Box plus, minus. At this point, it feels like the real challenge is trying to find a category he isn't leading. This isn't just an MVP run. This is one of those once-in-a-generation seasons people will still talk about decades from now, the kind future players point to and say, yeah, that Jokic year was unreal. When someone breaks records non-stop and outshines legends without even blinking, the narrative around them starts to grow into something bigger. And once you grasp how historic Jokic's season truly is, everything happening in Denver suddenly looks a lot more dangerous. The league might not be ready for what's coming next. Every season, there's one matchup that exposes a team's identity, and for Denver, that moment came when they faced the Houston Rockets. Houston has been one of the toughest squads this year, so going into their building without Aaron Gordon, who went down barely 3 minutes in, and without Christian Braun should have spelled trouble. A road game with an NBA Cup atmosphere had all the signs of a trap. But Denver flipped the script. They didn't just escape with a win, they walked in calm, controlled the pace, absorbed every run Houston threw at them, and looked like the same cold veteran squad the Western Conference hoped wouldn't wake up this year. This wasn't simply about matchups or defensive assignments. It revealed exactly what kind of
Jokic is doing stuff. It's wild, man. He's shooting 78% on 2-pointers. 78.
Yeah, that's a high
okay?
number.
He's leading the league in rebounds. He's leading the league in assists.
machine Denver still is. Houston usually needs just 2 things to ruin your night: elite defense and the ability to drag opponents into their chaotic style, but Denver refused to give them either. Somehow, Denver matched Houston step for step, holding the Rockets to just 12 points in the first quarter, surviving Reed Shepherd's 27-point explosion, dealing with Houston snagging 17 offensive rebounds, and still staying composed when the game tightened. The entire night came down to 3 things. First, Denver flipped that hidden defensive switch they only use when it really matters. Even with Houston relentlessly crashing the glass, the Nuggets held them to 7-for-17 on second-chance opportunities, forced tough mid-range looks, rotated with precision, and refused to let Shepherd's hot streak turn into a full takeover. Second, Nikola Jokic solved every adjustment Houston threw at him like he was doing homework. He finished with 34 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists, but even those numbers can't capture how completely he controlled the game. Every mid-range shot they dared him to take, money. Every moment Jamal Murray struggled to find rhythm, Jokic slowed things down and kept Denver steady. He even guarded Alperen Sengun straight up and made the biggest plays when the pressure peaked. It was one of those nights where you could literally see the best player on the floor dragging the entire game into his own tempo. And the third key was Denver's championship-level composure, the kind that only comes from real battles and real pressure moments. Houston kept throwing run after run.
Denver has a man who is playing at the absolute peak of his powers, and so nothing can be taken away from him. And Denver has the number 2 defense in the league.
Searching for a single crack to flip the game, and Denver didn't fold for a second. They moved like a team that has lived through these moments countless times, because they have. Surviving a night like this on the road, missing 2 starters and dealing with everything going sideways, tells you exactly who they still are. Nikola Jokic isn't just leading the MVP race this season. He's redefining what dominance looks like in the NBA. His production is otherworldly. Nearly 30 points per game, effortless rebounding, more than 11 assists a night like a true point guard, and efficiency that borders on video game levels. Digging deeper, the numbers become even more astonishing. Jokic is posting a PER of 37.0, the highest single-season mark in NBA history, surpassing Giannis, Wilt, and even his own previous bests. Among players averaging 30 or more points, he ranks number 1 all-time in efficiency, ahead of Stephen Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Adrian Dantley. He's already top 3 all-time in triple-doubles, behind only Russell Westbrook and Oscar Robertson, and he continues adding to that total almost weekly. On top of that, he leads NBA history in win shares per 48 minutes, outpacing legends like Michael Jordan, David Robinson, LeBron James, and Wilt Chamberlain, a testament to the unparalleled impact he has whenever he steps on the floor. Check any leaderboard this season, and his name is everywhere. Rebounds, assists, total rebounds, defensive boards, assist percentage, offensive rating, win shares, box plus, minus. At this point, finding a category he isn't leading feels almost impossible. This isn't just an MVP campaign. It's one of those once-in-a-generation seasons that people will talk about decades from now. When someone breaks records non-stop and outshines legends without even blinking, the narrative grows, and everything happening in Denver suddenly looks far more dangerous. The league might not be ready for what's coming next. Every season has that defining matchup where a team's identity is exposed, and for Denver, it came against the Houston Rockets. Houston has been one of the toughest squads this year, so heading into their building without Aaron Gordon, lost barely 3 minutes in, and Christian Braun should have spelled disaster. A road game with an NBA Cup atmosphere had all the makings of a trap, but Denver flipped the script. They didn't just escape with a win. They controlled the pace, absorbed every run Houston attempted, and looked like the cold veteran team the Western Conference feared might wake up this season. This wasn't about matchups or who guarded whom. It revealed exactly what kind of machine Denver still is. Houston usually relies on elite defense and the ability to drag opponents into their chaotic style, but Denver refused to give them either. Denver matched Houston step for step, holding them to just 12 points in the first quarter, surviving Reed Shepherd's 27-point explosion, dealing with 17 offensive rebounds, and staying composed when the game tightened. 3 key factors define
out. These numbers that he is doing these are Wilt Chamberlain-esque numbers. I wasn't alive for Wilt Chamberlain had these numbers. You hear about these seasons. Wilt averaged 50 points and 25 rebounds, and he had 75 consecutive quadruple doubles or whatever. And you're like, I don't believe any of that.
The night. First, Denver flipped that hidden defensive switch they only use in critical moments. Even with Houston crashing the boards relentlessly, the Nuggets held them to 7-for-17 on second-chance opportunities, forced tough mid-range shots, rotated sharply, and refused to let Shepherd's hot streak take over. Second, Nikola Jokic solved every adjustment Houston threw at him like it was homework. He finished with 34 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists, but those stats barely convey how he dominated the floor. Every mid-range shot, cash. Every moment Jamal Murray struggled, Jokic slowed the game down and kept Denver steady. He even guarded Alperen Sengun straight up and made the biggest plays when the pressure hit. The best player on the floor was dictating the entire game's tempo. Third, Denver's championship-level composure, earned from years of pressure and battle-tested moments, kept them steady as Houston searched for any crack to exploit. Surviving a night like this on the road, missing 2 starters, proves exactly who they still are. What this game ultimately reveals is who the Nuggets really are as a team. Nights like this don't happen by accident. They happen because a superstar like Jokic knows exactly when to take over and how to control every detail. His season-long dominance is evident. 29. 5 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists, nearly 2 steals, and a 69% effective field goal percentage. He remains the cleanest playmaker in the NBA while also being one of the most efficient scorers, shooting 41% from 3, drilling mid-range shots effortlessly, and hitting 66% from 3 to 10 feet and 67% from 10 to 16 feet. Defenders have nothing meaningful to throw at him. He walks into his spots, takes the shots he loves, and knocks them down at nearly 70%. That precision translates into absurd offensive impact. Denver scores an extra 22.4 points per 100 possessions with him on the floor, and their net rating jumps to plus 24. And while everyone talks about his offense, Jokic's defense this season has been just as critical. Anyone still claiming he's a weak defender simply isn't watching. Denver has raised their defensive level, with Jokic at the center, positioning sharply, timing perfectly, and reading plays with a high IQ that shuts them down before they even begin. He does it without elite speed or athleticism, yet he anchors one of the toughest defenses in the league. This season, Denver has quietly fixed two of their biggest weaknesses from last year, turning flaws into strengths. The Nuggets aim to climb into the top 10 defensively and have exceeded expectations, ranking 5th and holding teams to 112.2 points per 100 possessions. Their rotations are cleaner, point of attack pressure is tighter, and Jokic protects the rim with the discipline of a true anchor. Watching film, his elite reads are clear, sliding to shut down a baseline pass, then jumping an angle to disrupt a feed to Drew Eubanks, anticipating the play before it fully develops. Nikola Jokic isn't just having an MVP season. He's redefining excellence in the NBA, leading a top Western Conference seed, posting near 30-point triple-doubles on 70% efficiency, controlling games on both ends, and guiding Denver into elite territory. This is the kind of season that will be remembered as a once-in-a-generation masterpiece, a display of precision, dominance, and basketball intelligence that few in the league can even begin to match. And then there's the deflection on that Mar pass. Jokic is seeing plays 2 steps ahead at all times. But it's not just him carrying the defensive load. Peyton Watson, Christian Braun when healthy, and even Cam Johnson have been providing Denver with meaningful, impactful wing minutes. Last season, the Nuggets' biggest problem was that their playoff-level defense only appeared once the postseason started. This year, that level is showing up early, and it's only November. That's why the Houston game was so loud. Denver didn't accidentally hold a top 3 offense to just 12 points in a quarter. It was structure, preparation, and a locker room fully buying into the plan they'd been developing all summer. What makes this defensive leap even more remarkable is that it isn't just the starters carrying the load. Denver has quietly transformed one of the biggest question marks in the league. Their bench has become a real asset. Non-Jokic minutes were always a concern. How would they survive when he sat? Last season, Denver had a minus 9.8 net rating without him, and things got worse in the playoffs. This year, the script has flipped. Non-Jokic minutes sit at minus 6.6. Not perfect, but a massive upgrade. And when your superstar delivers a plus 17.4 net rating on his own, all the bench needs to do is survive. Smart off-season moves gave Denver a second unit they can trust. Peyton Watson has emerged as a reliable defensive rotation piece. Spencer Jones provides size, discipline, and mistake-free basketball. Tim Hardaway Jr. delivers instant offense the moment he checks in. Jonas Valanciunas adds interior strength and a secondary action hub when Jokic rests. And Bruce Brown is finally finding his rhythm again as the glue guy the team leaned on during their championship run. Now, when Jokic sits, Denver doesn't collapse like in past years. The drop-off is smaller, rotations make sense, and the team looks more organized than ever. But even with a stronger bench and tighter defense, nothing matters unless their second star locks in. And this season, Jamal Murray is treating the regular season like it actually matters, maybe for the first time in his career. Murray has always been a postseason monster, but in previous regular seasons, Denver never knew which version of him would show up. Not anymore. He looks like a different player this year, averaging a career-high 22.8 points, 6.5 assists, and 1.2 steals on 54% effective field goal shooting, showing the consistency Denver has long been seeking. It's clear he's taking the nightly grind seriously, and with this newfound stability, the Nuggets are a much more complete team.